Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're in the kitchen again today. I just want to apologize for the sound of the dishwasher in the background, but this is when I'm making the cake and the dishwasher happens to be running. So, what are we making today? We are making an orange cake, and I am actually going to pair this orange cake with a brown butter orange frosting. So it's very orange cake, very delicious. So this is actually a really simple recipe. All you need that you probably don't have, you might not have any orange zest, which is really just grated orange peel. So you'll need about a teaspoon or so of that, and you'll need some orange juice. Okay, other than that, you should have everything else that you need for this recipe in your cupboard. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you're gonna need is 3/4 of a cup of butter or margarine. I'm using butter, but margarine will work just as well. I use butter because it gives you a richer cake, but margarine will work just fine. Okay, so if you only have margarine, use margarine. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our butter into our mixing bowl, and we are going to use a mixer to do this. You can, of course, do this by hand. I prefer using a mixer. It's just easier. So I'm using the Bosch Compact Kitchen Machine, the 400-watt version, because people do ask. And yes, I'll put a link in the video description. So 3/4 of a cup of butter or margarine, okay? To that, we are going to add our sugar. We are going to add 1 1/4 cups of sugar, okay? So not a ton of sugar, but it's cake, so there's sugar. And we're going to kind of mix that up together just to cream up that butter a little bit. Okay, now we're going to add our other wet ingredients. What we want is we want 1/2 a cup of orange juice. Okay, 1/2 a cup of orange juice. And we're going to do 1/2 a cup of milk. Now it is important to do these half and half. So I just didn't want to use 2 measuring cups, so I just thought I would take a minute to do the milk. Okay, so I didn't want to mess up 2 measuring cups. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. But the reason you do half and half is you want it orange, but you don't want it so orange, like so overwhelmingly orange. Okay, so you do half and half. We're also going to add 3 eggs to that. Okay? Mix that up a little bit. Ooh, a little fast. Now this is actually a good time to scrape down the butter off the sides because it will have ridden up a little bit onto the sides. Okay, so you just want to kind of give that a bit of a scrape just to get the butter off the sides. And then scrape your rubber spatula off and go a little bit more. Now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so roughly, if you're a little over, it's not that big a deal. Vanilla's delicious. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You're going to want 3 teaspoons of baking powder, not soda. It's important that you're using baking powder. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Not enough salt to make things salty, but enough salt to definitely bring out the flavor. Okay, that's why you use salt. So a little bit of salt, and you're going to add 1 teaspoon of orange zest. Okay, really, really easy to make this cake. So you just need a couple of those ingredients. Now before we add our flour, we're going to let that mix up just a little. Now what we need is our flour, because obviously that's not cake batter. So we're going to need 2 1/4 cups of, there we go, 2½ cups, sorry, 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, just your regular flour. You can use a cake flour if you want. I just use regular all-purpose. Now mix that up. Gently, don't get crazy before it gets mixed. If you go too fast, too quickly, you'll get that flour popping right back out at you. There we go. Okay, one more time, we're going to scrape down the sides of our batter. Okay, one more time, just going to scrape that down, because something always rides up on the side, okay? Always. There we go. Scrape that down, scrape the excess off on your beater. There we go. Pop that back down. One more big whir, just so that it can get all mixed and incorporated. Okay, that is our batter. Okay, just take that. Get rid of the mixer, we don't need it. We're done with it. What we're gonna do, also get rid of this, is we need to prepare our pans. Okay, so I am going to use 2 8 or 9 inch, it doesn't matter. There is really not a ton of difference between an 8 inch and a 9 inch pan. So 8 or 9 inch, it doesn't matter. You can use square pans if you like. I'm using round pans because I typically use a round container to store my cake. But if you're going to use a square container, feel free to use square pans. But I'm using round pans. Now we need to spray our pans, or you can coat them with butter and a little flour or use cake goop, but I just use a cooking oil spray because it's so easy. So we just give these a really good spray. Okay, both of them. There we go. Nice good spray. While you're spraying your pans, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we need to divide our batter. Divide our butter. That won't help me, but you could. So we're going to divide our batter into 2. So I like to add some to the first one, then add some to the second, and then if I need to, come back. There we go. Because if you have to add more to that first one, that's okay. I don't think I have to. I've been doing this long enough that I'm usually pretty spot on with dividing. But if you're not great at dividing, underfill the first one, and then fill your second one, and then come back and fill that first one again. Okay. Don't need that anymore. I do need a cloth to wipe the butter off my hand. There we go. So now you have these 2. You want to give them a shake to divide that batter evenly, because it takes too long for it to kind of just do it naturally. So just kind of give it a shake to even out your batter. Now, one thing with cakes that happens a lot is there's air bubbles inside them just from being whipped with your machine. So what you're going to want to do is do some tapping like this. Okay, you're going to want to tap till those air bubbles rise to the top. Okay, so give them a good tap. Let the air bubbles rise up. I'm not going to do that on camera because it's really annoying to watch me do this for 2 minutes, but that's really what you should do. Grab your guys, go like this for 2 minutes just to knock the air bubbles out. Then give them another shake to re-level the batter, and then you're going to pop them in your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes, plus or minus based on your oven. So your oven might take, 33 minutes, 35 minutes, that's fine. My oven takes exactly 30 minutes to cook these cakes. So we will come back when they're baked, and I'll show you what they look like, and I will tell you about the frosting we're going to use. All right, our cakes are done. Remember, these are our orange cakes. So they've been sitting in their pan for about 10 minutes, which is what you need. Okay, they've been cooling in the pan for 10 minutes. You don't want to take them out of the pan right away or they'll just fall apart. So we're going to take them out. And before you can put any kind of frosting on them, you do need to let them cool. Okay, so they have to be 100% cool before you can put any frosting on them at all. So that'll take an hour or two. So we're just going to let them sit, and then we will come back and I will show you what they look like with frosting on them. I'm not going to show you the frosting process. I'm just going to show you what they look like and how awesome they'll be. But first, they have to cool completely. So we'll come back in a couple hours. So there is my orange cake that I have paired with an orange brown buttered frosting. So just to kind of jazz it up a little bit, and yes, to answer the question, I did add extra orange juice to my frosting and then poured it on the cake so it would pour over the edge. Because I can't, I certainly can't decorate cakes. So I'm just going to take some walnuts here and just kind of pop them on the top. Just because it's fun. And I think people will enjoy them. And my mom's coming over and she likes walnuts, so I'm going to put some walnuts on here. You don't have to put walnuts on here. You could do pecans, or you could do nothing, or you could put sprinkles on the top. But that's what I'm doing for my cake. And yes, I will link in the video description to the recipe for the frosting I used. You do not have to use as much orange juice as I did, because I added more after that video ended. And poured it on because I'm terrible at frosting things. Yeah, so we're just going with that. But that is our finished orange brown butter cake. It is delicious and it'll be a crowd pleaser because the delicate orange flavor really is quite perfect. So I hope you enjoyed making this orange brown butter cake with us today. We'll see you tomorrow.